Hola chicas. Hey babes. How is everyone? Let me know when you can hear me and we will begin. Give me a hey babes when you're, when you're good to go. Hurry up, I've got work, says one. We're about to talk. Just a second. It's Friday, guys. We made it. Bloody made it, didn't we? Can you hear me? Can you bloody hear me? You can hear me, babes. Lovely. Right, okay. Looks like that's going to become a thing. So be it. Right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the James Lawrence Allcott channel. I nearly forgot my own name there. It's been a long week, guys, but it's about to get juicy. We've got some round of 16 games, and the tournament is really, really hotting up now. I'm really, really excited to get into some relaxed chat. Okay, that is also kind of brimming with excitement at the same time. That's what we're going to be doing today. Welcome. Congratulations, guys. It's Friday. You've made it. Give yourselves a pat on the back. If you are new to the channel, then please do consider subscribing and hitting the like button. It massively helps the videos. I can't stress that enough. So if you are enjoying it and you, and everyone is writing, hey, babes, I hear you. I see you. Then get involved and hit the like button and, of course, subscribe to the channel. So when I do this bit, there you go. Look at that. That is a prompt. That's called a prompt. Once more, that's a prompt. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, get on it. Get on it now. Right, before I get into the video, a bit later on in the video, I'm going to be talking about Ultimate Fan. I'm partnering up with them for the Euros. And I've got my latest set of packs I'm going to go through. And I'm going to tell you my team. There is an Englishman in my team. But which one? You'll find out soon enough. If you want to get involved with Ultimate Fan, you can play for free. The link is in the description, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. What I did was I went on Instagram and I went on Twitter and I said, guys, girls, get involved. Ask me some questions and we'll have a chat. Simple as that. That's what we're going to do. So you did that on Twitter and Instagram. Go follow me on Instagram. I'm nearly at 10K. I get to do the swipey uppy thing. It would be wonderful to do that. But what I've done is I've screenshotted some of them and then I've circled some of these bad boys as well. And so we're literally just going to go through them. And one that you will have seen from the thumbnail is that I will go through my predictions for the round of 16. Dum, dum, dum. Final thing to say before we get into all of it is I will be talking about England a little bit, but not a lot. The reason for that is we have got a big, fat, hairy preview on Monday coming out. So Monday, there'll be an England-Germany preview. The voice changer will be out. Don't worry about that. Right, let's get on with it. Indian Drake says, controversial question. If Kane was out with food poisoning before the game, who would you start at number 9? What are you up to? If he gets food poisoning, we're coming after you, Indian Drake. On Twitter, Indian Drake 7. Who would you start at number 9? Also, do you find Portugal and Belgium almost mirrors of each other in the way that they have wildly aging and bad back lines with quality going forwards? I would agree with that in terms of the mirroring. I would disagree slightly in terms of how they will set up. I think Portugal will set up a little bit deeper than Belgium will. Belgium seems to like this kind of high line, which is interesting. But in terms of answering the question of the food poisoning, first of all, I just wanted to highlight that in case Harry Kane gets food poisoning. I'd love to know in the chat. Let me know, guys. If Harry Kane got food poisoning, what is this? If Harry Kane got food poisoning, what would you do? Who would you play? I think it would be pretty obvious. I think Southgate. I don't think he's got the freedom in him to play someone like Foden, who might be interesting in that position. I would play DCL. I think that's quite an easy one, a simple one. I don't think there's any way you go around that. I think, look, Alex Richards says, yeah, you've got Rashford's a good shout. Rashford is a good shout. I would play DCL, though, because I think he does offer a hell of a lot. And I think he would bring in the other players around him. Like, DCL's not a bad choice for England. It's just the fact that you've got Harry Kane. So you've got to kind of use Harry Kane. So thanks for that question. Next up. This is interesting. Who, and again, get involved, chat. And if you're liking this kind of idea where you guys ask questions, we answer them together, because that's always the way to do it, right? We always want to answer it together. Then hit the like button as well, because that will let me know that this is the right way to go. Kai Thomas, 23. Who's surprised you the most? I think that's what you're trying to say. Wales, Finland, Hungary. Let me know in the chat. We'll talk about some of these other teams. I think the biggest surprise for me has to be Hungary. And And I think there's an interesting point there in the format, which I think is one of the questions later on, but I might just talk about it now, is the fact that this idea of like bringing those teams from the Nations League, a lot of people were thinking, what's the, why are we doing this? Are they just going to get blown away? The teams that made it through, what was it? North Macedonia, Finland was one of them, I think. Hungary, Scotland. Forgive me if I'm missing out. None of them got blown away. Do you know what I mean? And Hungary, for me, have been my big surprise. In terms of teams still in the competition, I think I didn't look at the Ukraine enough. I think they've got a decent amount going forward. I think they're pretty patchy at the other end. So I think that's a problem for them going into the knockouts. I've been surprised by Wales as well. That second game against Turkey, and maybe it's down to Turkey being absolutely atrocious. Apologies for the planes, guys. But I've been quite impressed by Wales as well. But it's got to be Hungary. For Hungary, if you think of each of their games, if you play 60 minutes of each of those games, or 70 minutes, 75 minutes, they've got so many points. They've got all the points they need to get through a group that also has Portugal, Germany, and France. So I think Hungary has been the biggest surprise for me, for them to do what they've done. And what I was saying about the Nations League and those teams that have come through, what I would say is that I never wanted 32 teams. I really didn't want 32 teams because I felt like it was too much. But I've been intrigued to know what you guys think about that. Now I'm thinking the second place, third place thing, yes, it was interesting and it kind of keeps it going, but it also, I don't know, it doesn't draw it out in the right way for me a lot of the time. So I would like to see it go to 2 teams going through and that being the end of it. I think there will be a lot more cutthroat and interesting. And so for that to happen, you probably got to go to 32 teams, which could be the way to move forward. Quick one from Sam Wallace. QPR getting top 6 next season? Just a bit. Yes. Charlie Austin. Who's the other one? Sam Field. We're going to be fine. It's coming up, if that makes sense. Ben Gorey. The threat of Goosens. Yep. Again, the preview will be on Monday. We will talk about the threat of Goosens. Of Goujons. The threat of Goujons on your health. The threat of Goosens. That's coming. Callum's 6. Can Italy go all the way without Chiellini? I think Italy can go all the way. I was expecting them to do well. I didn't expect them to do as well as this. The big thing is that for a few of these teams, Italy and the Netherlands in particular, is the fact that they've not truly been tested. And of course that's coming. And I think a lot of people are talking about the fact that you would expect them to get through and then they play Portugal or Belgium. Will they be able to get them, get past them? I think it is about the team a lot of the time. If you can have, that's my point. If you can have a team, if you can have an actual team that is fluid and fluent, those two things, then you've really got a chance. Then if you add, you can miss out on an element of quality if you've got a balanced quality team that knows each other and knows how to play. And I think, Italy have got all of those things. In terms of the sort of balance of Belgium, I do really like Belgium. I think we've got to be careful on Belgium. But Portugal will stink out the place and still win games. They will. That's how they play. That is how they play. So, can they do it without Chiellini? I think it's a big loss. It's obviously a huge loss. And in terms of they've got lots of really exciting players. I think we don't truly know how good they are in terms of club football and that level of it all. But Chiellini, we do know is of that level. So I think they could go all the way regardless. I don't think it's too much of a problem. By the way, I'll answer your questions at the end of this as well. That's why I'm kind of rattling through it a little bit. Michael Harrison, thank you for your question. I think VAR has ruined the game and is ruining these finals. What are your thoughts? I've got you guys, man. You know how I feel about VAR. I'd love to know. This is another one for the chat. I'd love, do you want VAR or would you like to get rid of it? Yes or no? Yes, I want VAR. No, I want VAR to go and we deal with the consequences of it. I'd be intrigued to know what people think because I'm still on the side of that Benzema goal. The Benzema goal, it just takes so long. Do you know what I mean? Or there's lots of instances. We can find a million examples. I think when there's so many examples, it comes to one of two things. Do you believe in it or not? And football's about the moment when the ball goes in the net. And the rarity of, say, for example, that Callum McGregor goal, I knew that Callum McGregor goal for Scotland was not going to be ruled out, fortunately, because it was on the edge of the box. It's just dropped to him. No one's offside. No one's handballed it. None of that nonsense. And I was able to enjoy it, and it was amazing. Again, QPR fan, right? So I watched the Championship. I don't have to worry if it's a goal or not. Has it been given? It's been given. Right, let's go mad. The ability to go mad, I think, is really important. And the subjectivity of football makes it so difficult. But I do think it's getting a little bit better and quicker. And I do think it's about changing the rules to fit VAR as much as anything else. Patrick Stacey, just be patient with it. I get what you're saying. I do get what you're saying. But I've struggled with it up to now. I think, in a second season of it, that's when it really does need to come to the fore now. I think it's been better in this tournament. I do think it's been better in this tournament than it has in the Premier League. But the reason for that, and some of you guys might not know this, is that for the Euros, I think they've got 4 teams looking at it. So I think 2 are doing offsides, and then 2 sets of people are doing the, penalties and things like that. So you've got a lot of eyes on it. Now, will the Premier League, step in and do that as much? It's going to be interesting. I don't know. We'll find out soon enough. What else have we got here? Should Southgate be removed if we play negative football against Germany and lose? That's from Matt Wilcox. Okay, I'm going to answer that. Right after I speak about Ultimate Fan. Come on, the lads. So, Ultimate Fan, I've been with them for the Euros, been playing Ultimate Fan. I've been absolutely useless. I'm going with my gut on this one. I've got a really good squad, like Immobile. I've got Depay. I've been mixing up and getting it wrong. For those of you who don't know, Ultimate Fan is a fantasy football app, but it involves pack openings as well. You can play completely for free, and in the last round, the winner played for free. You can also get a gold subscription or a silver subscription. I've got myself a gold subscription, which is $4.99 per month. It's now gone into the knockouts. If you can win by putting forward your players and getting points, just like fantasy football, you can win. Used to be 2,500, which someone who was playing for free won 2,500 quid playing for free. And then for this one, it's 5 grand up for grabs for the winner and 20 grand for the knockouts. There's game days for each set of knockouts. I'm going to go through my pack opening now, and then I'm going to reveal my team, which has an Englishman in it. So what happens now, because it's the knockout stages, they've had to give you reset packs because they've had to get rid of a load of players. So here is my lot. Let me move to this side. So these are the players that I got. It's a base pack that comes through. Switzerland. So I've got a problem with my teams. You have to put forward a team as much as anyone else. I've got Switzerland and the Czechs, which isn't great. Laporte's come in. Skov's come in. Laporte's a good one. There he is. There's my guy, Raheem Sterling. That's right. Hernandez, really good to back him as well. Well pleased with that. It's Newhouse. I'm always struggling with that name. He's not going to get in, I don't think. And Yarmolenko might be decent as well. And because I've subscribed, I've got myself a gold pack as well. Ultimate Fan's going to be coming out as a Premier League game soon as well. So I get 3 more players. Massapust I got. And then I think I got Busquets, who I've already got. So I've already got Busquets. And then I think I got, Frankie de Jong, which is great. But I'm not sure how well he's going to do in fantasy football. But maybe he's been so progressive. So here is my team that I've put forward. I've got Immobile. I've got Depay. I'm not having it. Raheem's going straight in there. He is in my team. Hazard, I'm waiting for him to catch fire. Kulusevski, I think, might do well against the Ukraine. And then I've mixed it up otherwise. That's the team that I've put forward. So if you want to get involved, link is in the description. As I said, you can play for free. Get involved. 20 grand each game day. There's still 3 left. Yeah, after this one. So get yourselves involved and, a bit of fun with it, because I am. Right. Back to it. What was the question? Southgate. Should Southgate be removed if we play negative football against... Oh! You've got to be over 18 and from the UK or Ireland. Sorry, I nearly forgot that bit. That's important. It's important that I say that. Okay, you've got to be over 18 and from the UK or Ireland. Right. Should Southgate be removed if we play negative football against Germany and lose? I think we will play what could be described as negative football, right? We are going to be pragmatic. I think we know that now. I think I've wanted more from that, and maybe that comes down the line. But I think he's, like I said a few times, Southgate is very sensible, and that might end up being a really, really good thing. should he be removed if we play badly and lose to Germany? I think in such a dynamic period of international football, when you've got the World Cup next year, I don't think you do it. I don't think you do it. And I don't think, topping your group, and I know we should top our group, but we did top our group, and then going out to Germany is not a sackable offence, in my opinion, for someone who is still, I think, developing and growing as a manager. I also don't think there's any options for people that are English and that will do a better job. And I think that's what we need to do as well. Where we've been brilliant is that we've gone, right, Sancho, Mount, like all these players, you're going to be the future. So let's start to make a pathway for you. The same's got to go with the coaching. We need to know who we want to have as our next England manager, and we need to start to kind of put that in place, because it is a problem otherwise. Because I honestly feel like, a major nation like England shouldn't have to rely on managers from other countries. We should be able to put forward our own managers. I think it's important. I don't think, because it's a reflection of your coaching system. And if our coaching system isn't good enough to put someone forward, then that's a massive, massive problem. Massive, massive problem, right? So I would like to see him for the Euros and for the World Cup. And I think that's when you move it forward and you move on. But there needs to be a succession plan in place. Even a country like Holland, who sometimes have managers like, De Boer at the moment, people don't think he's that good, right? Because of his time at Palace. At least there's a clear kind of succession there. And also what they do quite well is they recognise those players that, have played in these major tournaments and know what it's like, and give them that opportunity. Because, the calibre of managers at international football, it's not the same as the top managers in the top leagues, because they want to manage day in, day out. It's a different calibre of manager. So it is very, very tricky. But I think you've got to give him both this tournament and the next one, because it is next summer. That's what I would say. So I think regardless, he will keep his gob and job, and he should keep his job. Because I think as much as there may be some disappointment on Tuesday, I think we have still moved forward. Like, if you look at it holistically. Thomas Westcott, what needs to change if England lose on Tuesday? I think we need to figure out what our team is, and we need to figure out how we want to play, and we need to play in a more cutthroat way. There is a real problem with international football that you play teams that are kind of not great and you pump them, and there's no merit from that. And then every so often you play these top teams. That's always going to be difficult for us. But that's why it is Judgment Day on Tuesday and in this tournament, to really, that is where we find out where we're at, because the data set with international football is just so small. Grealish to City. Where would he play? Who will they sell? How would their attack look? So, if he goes, and I've seen different things on this. I've seen the fact that Villa don't want to sell him. So I'm a bit confused about that. I'll be honest. So, is he actually going to go? I think is the first question. There was a comment from Ali. Ali, I love you, mate. But Ali is a Liverpool fan, and Ali went, "No, it's you just said it there. That's so funny." Tacticality. Tacticality. I think that's his YouTube channel. Go check it out if you get a chance. He's just said it's so incredibly boring. Now, Ali is a Liverpool fan, so I think there's something in that where you're going, "Oh, it's so boring because we're gonna because no one's ever going to be able to win the league if they buy Grealish and Kane." Like, I there's definite merit in what you're saying, but I also think that you're annoyed, like it's taking the piss a little bit, which I get. But yeah, I love you, bro. How would he? Well, what it says is it says that Sterling goes. If Grealish comes, Sterling goes, because that left-hand side will become incredibly crowded. I think he likes Mahrez. There's been talk about Sterling and Mahrez maybe going on. I don't think that's the worst idea for Sterling. Mahrez, I think he'll keep a hold of, because Grealish is never going to play on the right-hand side. The reason why I think they want him is, and I think you're seeing this as a bit of a theme, and let me know if you agree with this one, is I feel like the big kind of thing that we've seen that is effective is ball progression from dribblers, taking players out of the game. I think you've seen it with Frankie de Jong. I think you've seen it at times, both in kind of with the ball, but also almost just coming out of your spot and playing and almost confusing the opposition. I think players are so educated now tactically that actually those players that can just take one player out of the game instead of passing, patient, they're actually having a real impact on the game. And I think Grealish does that. And if you think about Man City and the teams that they play against where they sit back, I think someone like Grealish, if you imagine him getting the ball on that left-hand side, he will suck players in like he does, and from there you'll then create overloads in tight areas. And that's what Grealish will do for Man City. And Man City won't need to play on the counter-attack because it is about, it's about the final third, because they'll always walk up to the final third because defenders don't press Man City at all. So that's what he would do. I think Sterling would move on. But I guess the problem you'd have is Foden. What does Foden do? Maybe there's something interesting in the idea that Foden could replace Gundogan as much as anyone else. Because initially I was thinking Foden's not really physical enough to play in midfield, but I think Guardiola likes him quite centrally, and I also think Gundogan's not that physical either. So maybe Foden's got that in him. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. I kind of hope it doesn't happen because I think Villa are starting to really build a team that I really, really like, and I'd love to see them kind of stick together and see what comes of that. So fingers crossed Villa can hold firm. He's still got 4 years on a contract, so I think that's a big part of all of this as well. Right. I hope I haven't missed the... Okay. Should we do our predictions and then we'll do a few more questions? Let's do our predictions. Welcome to the predictions. Round of 16, guys. Get involved. We'll go through them one by one. Now, I have done this on ESPN, and it was kind of... I've given one initial thought, but again, I wasn't going to write it down. Nearly wrote it down, my predictions, but I thought, let's just see if I feel the same way, because you listen to things, you read things, you have a look at some of the stats, and you hear different sides. And I think a lot of these games could go both ways. But where will the surprise be? That's what I want you guys to predict. Predict where the surprise will be. Do it when I say. So let's kick off. Portugal, Belgium. This can be seen two ways, right? And what I will do, actually, I'll kind of give you both sides, and then I'll go with my gut. And I've got a gut call here, and it's on one of these fixtures. Two of them maybe where it's the underdog, maybe three. And one of them you're not going to like. And to be honest, I don't really like it either. But there's something when I'm just essentially looking at the flags that I kind of think, I don't know what it is. There's always there's always a surprise, isn't there? There's always a surprise. So where will it be? Let me know, guys. Let me know. 1,589 people watching, by the way. Do me a favor. Subscribe to the channel if you're new and you're enjoying it. And like the stream as well if you're enjoying it. If you are, then we could do this, on another Friday at a different time. Just doing questions and having a chat, me and you. Right. Portugal versus Belgium. Now, both teams do have those wildly aging defences. And I think there's serious goals in this. And actually, I'm going to give you the same prediction that I gave in the ESPN video because I think I stick with it. Portugal, I think, will hurt Belgium on the counter-attack. I also think Bruno Fernandes won't play in this game. Which we did say in our previews, didn't we? And I got pelters for it. Also said Pedro Neto should be playing, and he's injured. But give me that one. I think people will think this is Belgium as favourites, and they're going to walk it. I really don't think that. If you think about that France game, that penalty against Semedo was a joke. I think Portugal got a massive chance here, and with Ronaldo in the team, you've always got a chance. Like he's so clinical. Tom Dolan said, has Ronaldo actually been that good this Euros, or has he just been lucky with penalties? No, I think you know what he's about now. He's not the same player as he was, and actually, he's sort of drifting a little bit, which I quite like. He's kind of drifting into different spaces and getting on the ball there. He's still got a nice bit of pace. And one thing that Belgium haven't dealt with, and I think this was on the Zonal Marking podcast on The Athletic, they were saying that Belgium. The XG against Belgium, the attacks that have been against Belgium have been very, very slow. Very, very slow. And so Portugal could really hurt them in transition with Ronaldo and Jota. So that could be really, really interesting. I initially said that I then look at that Belgium team and I think they've got enough quality to sort of pick holes in the Portugal back line. It's going to be so close. I'm going to give the same predictions I gave before, but I keep looking at Portugal and thinking they're going to get through. But I just think Lukaku's got so much confidence right now, as does De Bruyne. Hazard's coming back into it. I'm going to stick with what I had. 2-2, go into extra time, and then I think a bit of magic from De Bruyne or Hazard or Lukaku will get them through. 3-2, absolute screamer. Italy, Austria. I'm not going to take too long on this one. I think it's going to be a doddle. I think Italy will go into the quarterfinals and be so excited, and then they've got the real test. Austria, I just can't see it happening. So Italy are going to go through there. I'd be amazed if anyone thinks Austria are going to get through, but you never know. You never know. France versus Switzerland. There's something in this that I think this will be a lot harder than people imagine. I do think this will be harder than people imagine, because you've got Shaqiri who can offer that little bit of magic. That said, France have got no excuse. They cannot be not making it through this round. I mean, that would be an outrageous defeat. And I just think that with what I've really liked is Pogba, but I just can't keep my eyes off him. You know, he's just trotting about, getting on the ball. He knows he's got the contingency of Kante. He's getting on the ball, and his connection with Benzema and Mbappe just looks like really, really nice. He's gorgeous to watch at the moment. I think this is the peak tournament for him, and if they go and do something, then I think it's on. The one thing I would say about Switzerland is that they are a little bit better than people think. Mbola I really like. Can he hurt those two? Like, there's been a few sort of grumbles about Varane's performance. I still think that surely France have got too much, and I expect them to go through. By the way, Italy, I think, will go through 3-0 really easily. France, I think it'll be tighter than you think. Maybe a 2-1. Maybe a 2-1. Sal with the super chat and providing the perfect link. Does Spain have any chance, or do Spain have any chance? I have cash on them. Spain do have a chance. They really do. That said, and the 5-0, it was, I think we're all a bit surprised, and Slovakia were absolutely woeful in that game, like frighteningly bad, and the goals that they gave. And there've been so many own goals. I saw an incredible stat that, like, I think there's been 8 own goals so far. Is that right? Which is crazy. Spain will, the one thing I wonder is that this is the game, if Croatia could have picked a team to play against that's one of the major nations, I think they would pick Spain, because I think the pace of this game is going to be really slow. And that will help Croatia, allow them to maybe get a foothold in the game. The tapping about of Spain, despite them being very, very creative, I still think it's what Croatia would have wanted. The lack of dynamism that they've got and have shown in their games, I think that's something that they would have struggled against. But against Spain, I think they've got a chance, and it might kind of help Modric and Perisic as well, as two players who have quality but don't have that outrageous pace. But if the game is kind of slow and sluggish and possession based, that might give them a better chance to kind of not get done in transition or not get done by great pace. They've also kind of played quite narrow at times. So I think there has to be a surprise somewhere. There has to be. And I think the way that Morata's been playing as well, this could even go to penalties, and we know that their record with penalties, they missed the last 5. It's a bit of a mess. My gut just says Croatia are going to do something in this, and I might be totally wrong. Might be totally wrong, but we'll see. I'm going to go with Spain. I'm going with Croatia on this one, sorry, and I'm going to go with a 1-0 win or a 1-1, and they do them on penalties. Yeah, 1-1, they do them on penalties. I think there could be a few penalty shootouts in this one. Ukraine-Sweden, interesting, because Ukraine's so much better going forward than they are going the other way. Sweden, though, are they going to be able to capitalise on the fact that they do come out and leave those gaps? I'd really want to play Sweden in the next round. I can't see I'm not even saying it. I think we do okay against Sweden. Let's put it that way. But Sweden's defence is so strong that it really is. You know, it's attack versus defence in this, and then will they, like Forsberg and Isaac, who's looked great, will they be able to kind of do it? I think they probably will, because I think this Ukraine team, I just can't put my finger on it. Like they pop it about nice sometimes, but they're still, even in the game where they look good, which is against the Netherlands, like I still think Sweden will be able to kind of stop them. And if they can play with just a little bit more attacking intent, then I think Sweden will get a goal and get a clean sheet, and I think it'll be 1-0. I think it'll be 1-0. England, Germany. England. More on that on the preview on Monday. Monday, the preview will come. It will be loud. Okay, bring your positivity for that one. We will look at 3-4-3. Should it be 4-2-3-1? We'll look at that. Personnel we'll look at. How do the Goosens or Guasens or Gujons are Gayuasens? That guy. We're going to look at that as well. I'm hoping England, obviously. Netherlands versus the Czech Republic. This is my second surprise. I have no understanding of why I feel this way. But I think the Czechs are going to do something. I don't know why. I keep thinking it. And maybe I'll be wrong. But I just think they're quite solid. I think they might be able to kind of stop the runners and that midfield from the Netherlands. I mean, with that said, the Netherlands, like that kind of asymmetric little vibe they're going on. Depay getting on. Dumfries getting on. The midfield too of De Jong and Wijnaldum. I'm talking nonsense. I'm talking absolute rubbish. But I can't get past it. So I'm just going to stick with it. That the Czechs will shock the world. The shock comes from the Czechs. I don't know why. Maybe it's a cross. Even if you look at maybe on that right-hand side, Daley Blind, who's super smart. Maybe Soufal will kind of be able to get on and get them. I think if they go behind, then they're in massive trouble. Yeah, it could be. Palm Tree says 5-0 Netherlands. I could get this so wrong. I don't know why. I don't know what it is, but it's how I feel, okay? Jack thinks I'm clapped. Thanks. Wales against Denmark. Now, initially, I was kind of looking at this and thinking, maybe I am overthinking it, Ollie. You might be right. And maybe I'm just looking for a shock. But there is always a shock, isn't there? That's the thing. So I'm going to go with it. Finally, Wales versus Denmark. I really have enjoyed Wales. I like the way they've been playing. And also, I think with Wales, I was talking to my friend Dom, one of my bezies, big Wales fan, because he's Welsh. And he always thinks that Wales are very, very tough to beat when they've got Ramsey and Bale in the team. That's something that hasn't happened as much as you would have expected because of, the injuries of Ramsey over the years. But when Ramsey and Bale play together, they are a very, very good team. That said, I could see Denmark going to the semi-finals in this competition. I really, really can. The momentum is one thing after, obviously, everything's happened, and that will give them real motivation. I think a massive part of this is the fact that they will be able to take fans to this. The Welsh fans aren't going to be able to be there in as many numbers, or any numbers, I think it is. So that's going to be huge for this game specifically. I know the Danes think that this should be pretty simple against Wales, and the betting is interesting. The betting for Wales to beat Denmark and for the Czechs to beat the Netherlands is exactly the same. And I think that's unfair. But then I look at the Danish side, and I like Damsgaard. I think been really, really impressed with him. He looks really, really nice. And actually the fluency of them. Braithwaite's are not always on that right-hand side. He does actually drift a little bit more than I thought, having looked at it today. I just think they're a good team. And Højbjerg's he's one of the players of the tournament as well. And you guys know, anyone who's watched over the last couple of over the last years, I really like Højbjerg, and he's playing differently as well. He's getting those assists as well. But definitely been the best player for them as well. And that move to 3 at the back from that first game, it really did garner a lot more positivity. And that's the problem I have with this. I want to back Wales, but playing 3 at the back, and really the options you've got is it's Dan James getting at them. But if Dan James is getting at them, you've got Delaney and you've got Højbjerg, who are going to be able to kind of go and try and shield and stop them. And even if Dan James is able to get past that on a counter-attack, you've then got another layer in terms of Christensen, Kjær and Vestergaard, who are going to look to stop them as well. I think that's a problem in terms of getting them on the break. So Dan James got a real tough task to kind of get past those 2 players. They'll be neat and tidy, Wales. I just think on further inspection, I just struggle to give Wales a chance in this one. I really, really do. And so I'm going to go with Denmark, because I don't think I'll be able to get through them. And again, if you think of Kiefer Moore, who's not just a big man, he's got good feet as well. But if you think of him and then you think of the 3 centre-backs that Denmark have got, they should have it covered. It's going to be interesting. And, can Bale step up? Maybe. The great thing is they've got 4 options that can hurt a team. So that's a great opportunity for them. But I do think that Denmark might have a little bit too much, and Wales might struggle to score. Fingers crossed. Yeah. And that's it. So we'll do semi-finals. Should we just do the whole thing? Let's just do the whole thing. So Denmark to get through against the Czechs. I'm talking nonsense. And if that happens, then Denmark will get through. England play Sweden. Semi-final, Denmark, England, Sweden, who I know someone who's probably watching right now. I did see your comments and you were talking about, talk about Denmark. You were right. Denmark may be getting it to the semi-finals. Such a nice side of the draw that. On the other side, I've got Croatia, haven't I? And France. France making it to the semi-final then. And Belgium. Belgium going through, and Italy. Belgium, Italy. Wow. There's a shout for you guys. Who wins out of Belgium, Italy? Funnily enough, I feel like Belgium might beat Italy. Interesting. And then we have our semi-finals and final, which who knows? Let's not get that far. Couple more questions, then questions from you guys. Archie Keane, hello mate. Will Ben White improve Arsenal's back line? Yes, great decision. Go get him. Go get him. Arsenal, like you look at Spurs, that and that's a barometer for Arsenal. Like, are they better than Spurs? And people laugh at that at the moment. But you're laughing at the moment because they've not kind of developed the next layer of talent. Arsenal need to do that themselves. They need to make sure Smith Rowe stays. They need to make sure they bring in exciting players and give them an opportunity. Ben White is a great shout. Get it done. And I said this in a video in November. Like they should have made that call then. George Shenton, do you think any of the more fancied sides will be knocked out by an underdog? Just been through that, so thanks for that question, mate. Freddie Charman, who do you think will be the surprise teams going through the quarters? Sorry, we've just done that again. C. Parahu, should Spain stick with Aspi over Llorente? I think they should. Oh, it's tough. Going forward, the problem with them, certainly against Sweden for Spain, was that they were too narrow. They were too narrow. I think you need fullbacks that are going to stay wide and get on. Lorente maybe offers that a little bit more, but I also think we're all a bit harsh on Azpilicueta. I think he's proved that he can be a very solid wing back for teams. It's tough. I think against Croatia you maybe go for it a little bit more, but I think against a France or a top six nation, is that a thing now? What am I talking about? Apologies. I think you go Aspi. How many games JLA Arden is JLA? JIA Gia Christ. How many games do you think could need penalties to decide them? I mean, maybe a few. I mean, that is my fear with England, is that happens again. I really wouldn't be surprised if defences are able to stay on top. I'm just not sure how many great defences there are. I could see at least 3 going to penalties, because I think when it gets to extra time, teams don't want to go for it anymore. Bring back the golden goal. Who's with me? Because that was interesting when that happened. Josh Powell, has the home advantage or certain teams been unfair? Very unfair on teams like Wales? Yes, massively so. I think it's totally unfair. But I think you got to take it with a pinch of salt with what's gone on, in the last year and a half. And also, I think if you keep this kind of format where you go all over the place, what I would like to see, and I don't think they would ever do it, but what I would like to see is through time you can create fairness. So, for example, England have had it, Scotland have had it. In the next tournament, I would say you need to switch it around. So if you switch it around, it should be at Cardiff, at Millennium Stadium. It should be at other countries. I think that's the way around it, but they'll never do that. That's how you make it fair down the line, and it's just kind of a part of it that comes with it, right? But that will never be the case, because they want to utilise Wembley, they want to utilise all these big nations and their big stadiums and all that nonsense. Francis Livesey, who is taller, you or Rory? I think I am taller. I'm not sure. I'll find out for you. But, I mean, the important thing is that we're both wonderfully well endowed. That's not true. I mean, not for me anyway. Harry Gleason, what influence could Sancho and Bellingham have against Germany because they play in the Bundesliga? I think the important thing to say now is subscribe to the channel and like the video if you're still watching. 2,000 people, love that. Sancho and Bellingham have against Germany because they play in the Bundesliga. I mean, yeah, I think it could be more on the training pitch. I think if Southgate's clever, he goes to those guys and goes, because I think the thing to remember as well, when people kind of talk about, Southgate being a clown. Also, people talking about Roberto Martinez for a long time, saying he's useless as well. There's a really good documentary on BBC iPlayer that looks at how data-driven the Belgian team and squad is. And the same goes for England. There's so much that it is data driven, right? So they have so much information, and that's why I think sometimes there are decisions that are made like turn your eyebrow out, because we don't have the same kind of knowledge there as well, or a background of data. And again, those things should support thoughts and over decide things for you. But coming back to this, I think there are those little things that you can kind of get from people. And what in that documentary, Vincent Kompany was on it talking about Brazil, and I think Brazil had Brazil set up for set pieces like Man City did. Kompany had seen that, and so he said before their quarterfinal in the World Cup, there's this little corridor that you can use, and it's always free at the front post. They scored from that goal, and that's what got them in the lead. So my point is that with Sancho and Bellingham, you've got to sit them down and go, right, this is probably the way they're going to play. Like, is there anything we should be concerned of? Any little moves that they do that you would expect? It's a conversation worth having for sure. Sadly, I don't think either will play, because we can only fit 11 on the pitch, and he's kind of made that decision to go with Phillips and Rice. But you never know, as substitutes, it could play a part. Tyler Kimpton, where does France rank? Where does the France team rank on best teams of all time? So who are the best teams of all time? I think you've got to say... Do you know what? Brazil 2002 is right up there, by the way, in terms of just dominating, being so much better than any other nation. Obviously, the Spain team of those three tournaments that they won, I think they are the greatest. I think you'd have to say they're the greatest to have won what they've won. The France team of 2098 was very, very good. But this team, if you finish in the final in 2016, you win the World Cup, and then you win this one. And I think the thing to remember is, and I might be going early with this, but if France win it, and they could and should, why not? And they will have more tournaments to come where they will be just as good, if not better, than this team right now. Because if you go through their team, aside from maybe Benzema, they've all got another tournament in them for sure. So France could become the greatest team if they win this one, and of course win the World Cup next year. It's clearly there for them. But I think Spain are top at the moment, so they've got to win this one and the next one. Last few then. Who has been your player of the tournament so far? I'd love to know everyone. Who's everyone's player of the tournament so far? I would go with Pogba's been the player that I've loved watching the most. I think he's just been outrageously good. But I do think that slower pace does suit him of international football, and again, he's got that insurance of Kante, and it's huge for them, playing in a great team as well, and having great runners. Like, that's something that he's got to get a little bit more from. I think you saw it from his connection with Cavani for Man United. There is a really nice. He does have players that he likes for sure. You can see that. And there are always players that are like that. I think Kane and Grealish like each other. I think a lot of players like Grealish because he'll kind of pop it back. Dumfries is a great shout. Locatelli's a great shout. Wijnaldum has been wonderful. He's been really, really good. I think Locatelli's a massive shout in terms of players that we've not really heard of and has just arrived on the scene. For both the guys, him and Barella, the Sassuolo guys have been wonderful. And that's your lot. That is your lot. Right, guys. Thank you for watching this. I hope you've enjoyed it. Have you enjoyed it? Let me know by hitting the like button, and let me know in the comments if you want me to do this again, because this is fun and easy, and we get to chat. It's good. Oh, was there a super chat that I missed? I don't want to miss it if someone has done it. No, I think we're okay. All right, I think we're okay. Insigne is a great shout as well. A lot of the Italian players have been superb. Monday, I will be here with a preview. I will also hopefully know if I've got a ticket or not. I'm waiting on someone. Pray. Thank you for watching the video. If you're here for the first time, then if you don't want to miss out on another video, then please do hit the subscribe button and check out my video from yesterday. I talk about a strength and a weakness from every single team that is still in the knockouts. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend, guys. A wonderful, wonderful weekend. And I'll see you on the other side, guys.